Yes, greetings, people. Yeah, I'm getting ready to do my second sports take. As I said before in the last one, when I did the take on NFL MVP, this one is going to be on the state of the NBA, National Basketball Association. Yeah, I've been a fan of the National Basketball Association since I was a youth, since 1966. So I've seen the league evolve. I've seen all the great players. Okay. People have been talking about the decline of the league. There's many reasons. Some people point to the overuse of the three-point shot, um, how the game isn't quite as physical as it used to be, and other issues. Like I said, I'm someone that has watched the game for several years, and I love basketball, played basketball in school. I was pretty good for my level. As you know, there's levels to everything, so I wasn't like an NBA caliber player. I played a little small college, and I was good on my level, but I feel like I'm qualified to talk about the NBA on several levels. A lot of people today, a lot of young people today feel like the league is better than it's ever been. Um, they hear older people such as myself talk about how the quality of play has gone down, and they think it's just like people like myself. We're just old guys that we want our generation to just stand out, and like we want our generation to be the best. Well, like I said, I've watched every generation of players since 1966, and while I will say that overall the athleticism in the game is at an all-time high level, but that doesn't make for a better product necessarily. My main problem with today's game is that it's it's been reduced basically to three-point shots and slam dunks. Okay. There's a lot of other nuances in the game that have just like disappeared. Part of that for me was when they devalued the position of center, kind of like they did in football with the running back. And as we see, running backs are like coming back right now because running backs, that's a crucial part of the game. And so the way I see it, in recent times, that was the first mistake. They took the center position out of the All-Star game. Used to be back in the day, really your most important player was the center. And myself, as someone who was a point guard, I loved having a great center. Magic Johnson was an exceptional talent, but let's be real. One reason he was so exceptional as a pro was because he had the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. When things got shaky, you knew you could always pass it into him. Now with the devaluation of the center in today's game, the skill position of the center has gone down. I still see it in college. You still see the footwork and all that, but now the center is shooting threes, and that's cool if you can do that, but you need a guy in the post. And that's what's missing. That's why I like watching college and even the women's game now, because they use footwork. The centers are good. The centers are like the focal point of the team, and everything else revolves around that. Almost like the solar system, like the moon or the sun, all the planets revolve around that. That's how basketball was created. So, but today they're trying to have a game where it's more movement and freedom of motion. And then they went to this whole thing where they want everyone to be like 6'8", 6'9", everybody's the same size. To the point where right now there's only two dominant centers in the NBA that I can think of. Yeah, there's only two. And that would be Jokic and Embiid. And Embiid hardly ever plays because he's always hurt. So really, there's just, one consistent, dominant force. And people say he's the best player in the league. So, you know, I didn't like it when they devalued the position. And so that's the one thing. Then before that, in an effort to curb the fighting, because, in the 80s, there was a lot of fighting, and, you could knock a guy out and barely get a technical foul, okay? But it's like the people that make the decisions in the league, they kind of overreacted, and now the game has gotten kind of soft, And I would say this trend kind of started, maybe 2015. I mean, they gradually over the years have softened it a little bit. But even like in the 90s or not the 90s, but the 2000s when Kobe played and Shaq and players like that, there was still a little physicality. They curbed the fighting, they started penalizing that more, so players were less inclined to throw down like that. But yeah, the game is gradually, they took the hand checking away. That was the first thing. Like when Jordan played and even Kobe's early years, you could hand check, which basically means you could put your hand on a player to kind of inhibit his movement. And you had to really work on offense. You had to have good plays, you had to have good screens. All that's gone, and now it's just a game where cats are running up and down, shooting threes. Back in the day, if we had a 3-on-2 fast break, you filled the lane. If you were running on the wings, you filled the lane, and whoever was in the middle would pass to either side, and you would get a layup, hopefully, But now cats are running down and spreading out, shooting threes. And I still love the game, exciting. There's exciting games. I love exciting games, no matter what sport. But the game has fallen off a little bit, in my opinion. And these are the reasons. And also, a lot of the younger folks feel that the players today are better. And like I said, I agree, they're more athletic. But, people look at Wilt Chamberlain back in the day, and they've never seen him play, and they say, oh, well, he was playing like that actor, what's his name, Michael Rappaport. He said that Kareem was playing against plumbers and carpenters, and I don't know if he was making a joke, but a lot of people from younger generations have taken that seriously. And I'm here to tell you, man, the players that Wilt Chamberlain played against, just like today, these guys were the greatest players on the planet, okay? And I saw Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell and all those people. Elgin Baylor, who's probably the most overlooked guy. He's like the father of Dr. J, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. He was incredible. Look up Elgin Baylor. Go to some of his clips on YouTube. There's not a lot, but there's enough where you can get an idea how this man played. And yeah, but people look at, like I said, they look at myself and people of my age, and they feel that like, oh, well, you just want your era to seem like it was the best. And that's not true, because I've been watching the league so long, I feel like I'm even more qualified than, to discuss these things as opposed to a younger person that's only seen this era. And I'm not on no ego trip where my generation has to be the best or anything like this, because there's guys today that are all-time greats, and I recognize greatness. It doesn't matter when you played. And my theory has always been the superstars from every era could play in any era. Now, I basically start like in like 1959, 1960, when the black players started becoming more prominent. A lot of the stars like in the 50s, and you know, a lot of them could have played, but they would be different players because the speed of the game is much different. And they was playing against all white guys. Not that white guys can't play basketball, but let's face it, what has the league turned into? It's almost like the National Black Association. So, like I said, players back in my day, they were fantastic. They came into the league more mature because you had to stay 4 years in college. Even if you didn't go to college, you had to wait till your college class graduated before you could be in the NBA and before you could get drafted. So, yeah, I just get tired of all the nonsense, it's like, if you're younger and you enjoy today's game, that's fine. I enjoy today's game, okay? But it has slipped a little bit, and they need to get it back. They need to bring the centers back, and hopefully that will happen with Victor Wembanyama, Wembanyama, who's a fantastic player, one of the best prospects we've ever seen. By the time he gets through, he could rewrite the all the record books, and just he's gonna be one of the all-time greats. He has a chance to be the greatest. But for him to do that, like right now, he's young and he's just shooting threes. He's not just shooting threes, but he's shooting a lot of threes. For him to really be up there with Kareem and Wilt and those kind of guys, he's gonna have to go inside and dominate. That has to be his first option. Then he can pop out and bust some threes, because he's a tremendous talent. So, yeah, I just wanted to comment on where the NBA is at now. I still love it. Long time Laker fan. Love the Lakers. Still love the NBA. But people that say it's gone down a little bit, it's true. And in fact, the people that run the league need to be careful, because right now we know football is king, but I feel like baseball is coming back. It might overtake the NBA if they're not careful. So they need to, I think they're starting to try to change up the rules a little bit, so it's not so soft. We don't want them to go back to the 80s where you could just cold cock a dude and not even get a technical. That's ridiculous. There was a lot of violence back in the day. We used to like some of it, but so I understand you don't want that, but a little roughness is okay. Get back to the fundamentals, footwork in the post, and also recognize the past players for what they were. That's all I want. It's because they're great players from every era. And this whole GOAT discussion, that's a whole nother thing. I'm not into that. I could think of like 10 guys off the top of my head that could be in the GOAT conversation. It depends on too much, and it's too hard too difficult to compare eras and all that, but just understand that every era has had players who are tremendous, teams who were tremendous. Basketball is an exciting game. So hopefully the NBA will get it together, because it's still my favorite sport. And like I said, I'm someone that has seen every player since 1966. And even the ones before me, I used to read about them. A lot of people don't read these days, but you can get information. Even if you don't read books, you can Google. So, like I said, go back and look at footage of Elgin Baylor. He was tremendous, man. He was scoring 50 points, 70. He scored 72 points. You know, he's like a top 5 scorer. Not necessarily his total scoring output, because careers weren't as long back then because the physicality was so great. So there was nobody back then that was going to play 20 years. And even players like LeBron, he's playing, what is he, in his 22nd year? He wouldn't have been able to play 22 years back then. Steph Curry's in his 15th year. He probably would have had a good 11 years. That's what the great players used to play, like 11, 12, 10 years, because the physicality would take its toll. Plus, they didn't have the medical advancements of today. But that doesn't devalue their abilities. So, yeah, anyway, I just wanted to comment on the state of the NBA. Oh, and the All-Star game is ridiculous. Back in the day, Oscar Robertson and Jerry West would go at each other. You know, it was like a pride thing. They weren't out there laughing and partying and smiling and just doing a dunk exhibition. They were trying to win, okay? And they weren't getting paid nearly as much as these guys. So, yeah, the league has gone down a little bit, but hopefully it'll come back, you know. So, anyway, that's all I wanted to say. So anyway, peace out. Rastafari.